from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast, powered by Outmarket AI. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama. Parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
You missed an opportunity a second ago to sit in on something that I think you would have been wildly interested in sitting in on. When I stepped away from lunch a second ago,
You said I gotta go do something.
I had to do a phone interview with a candidate.
Okay.
And about halfway through it, I was like, man, I bet Scott would.
Did you not invite me because you were afraid of what I might say?
No, you were just busy eating lunch.
Okay. Okay.
It really, like, honestly, did a pretty good job. So we're going to move forward in the hiring process, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the one thing the candidate said that really took you over the top?
Probably, when you talk to some people, you can just tell that they know what they're talking about. They know their industry and they know what they want. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it was, not to say like vibes, but that's kind of the, just professionalism,
right,
interest, that sort of thing. But if I had to pinpoint one thing, it was she made sure to let me know that she is very familiar with coastal insurance markets.
There you go.
And that's for most candidates is going to put them a notch above everybody else, because the coastal markets are so weird that if I hire somebody with insurance experience and they don't know the coastal markets, or at the very least E&S, I might as well hire somebody brand new.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that
right.
kind of puts them, and the way I do my initial interview is just very informal. It's like me and you sitting here tell me about yourself, tell me about your work history, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. I also like the fact that she's a personal lines account manager, but she also can do commercial. And to me, that's dangerous in a good way.
A unicorn.
Yeah.
The last two job candidates that I interviewed, one's a podcast listener. I pissed off so much that the first one sent me a 12-paragraph email on all the reasons she wasn't going to come to work for I Protect Insurance.
This is a podcast listener?
No, this one's not. The second
I think you sent me that one.
Yeah. That was great. The second one, I still to this day, the podcast listener who will hear this podcast, I to this day don't know how I pissed him off by offering him a job with I Protect. But our final conversation when I called, because he sent me the obligatory thanks but no thanks text, and of course I wasn't going to take that as, we got to do more than just that. So I called him, and his tone and the way he talked to me on the phone, I don't know what I did, but that dude was like, "We've made a decision, and we're sticking with that decision." And I was like, "Okay, man. Well, I appreciate it."
It's because he knew that if he
I
said...
have no idea what I said to him.
It's because he knew if he said the wrong thing, it would end up on here.
I'll tell you how bad.
That's what it was.
No. I'll tell you how bad it was. It was so bad when I got him on the phone for him to tell me he wasn't going to take the position, that I finally, after like a minute or two, I said, "Did I do something to like make you mad or something?" Yeah. No, but I'm staying where I'm at. And I'm like, "Okay."
Weird.
No idea. Guys, we've got a special guest on today. I'm super excited to have him on. And before I get him on, I'll tell you a little bit about what happened. I went out to the Paradiso Mastermind out in Phoenix, Arizona. And happenstance, he and I were kind of in the same group. I think we both got invited to dinner by Mr. Billy Wagner the first night we were there. didn't know each other very well, even though he had come to a couple of the One City World Tours that Bradley's been talking about having again since we've been sitting here talking about.
Let me clarify. I said, if any vendor out there wants to give me $100,000,
Right,
we will do another one.
Well, I got a chance to spend some time with him while we were out there, and then we're sitting in the Paradiso Mastermind, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody said, "Hey, by the way, he's got his new book back here, and wants to give everybody a copy." So I have been reading his new book that he has out. New to me, I'm sure it's not to him, but it's called Fortified. We're going to talk about that today. But as I was reading like the third chapter of this book, I was sitting there and I thought, you know what? We need to have my man on the podcast to talk about this because it's some really good information. I really enjoyed spending time and getting to know him better out there, and some of the things he said really resonated with me. So without further ado, I want to give him the introduction he's always deserved. He is originally from Mount Vernon, Missouri, and he currently resides in Highland, Utah. He's a graduate of Utah Valley University, and his hobbies are travel, golf, welding. I would love to learn how to weld. Woodworking, spending time with his 6 kids and 1 granddaughter. Can you believe my man's got a granddaughter? I believe Natasha's about to have a grandbaby too.
By the time this airs, she will be a grandmother.
He says, I'm risk averse now given my profession, but in my youth, I once laid on train tracks and let a train actually go over me. We may have to get into that.
Like
yeah,
long ways, right? Not crossways.
Here was my favorite part of. Here was my favorite.
This would be a bad time to tell me you don't have any legs. You know?
Yeah, right. Favorite first chapter of the book that really caught my attention. He once owned a KFC franchise. So one of the things that we're going to do today is he's going to uncover
the 11 herbs and spices.
The 11 herbs and spices and the recipe on how to make original Kentucky Fried Chicken. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. Guys, after spending 9 years chasing every type of business and writing anything that walked through the door, he set minimum requirements for new clients and transitioned the agency to CIS Private Client, a high net worth personal lines practice now serving affluent families nationwide. He holds the CPRM and CPRIA designations. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce my friend, Mr. Ben Walker. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing great, fellas. Thanks for that intro. That was awesome.
Ben, let's get into it. But before we get into it, I want you to climb in my DeLorean. I really enjoyed getting to spend some time with you out in Arizona. You had gotten a rental car. You and I went out to dinner a couple of times. Really, really enjoyed that.
It's always good when you're at those events and you run into somebody who rented a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Those people end up getting people to hang out with.
Yeah.
Scott, tell him about the car, though. We had some big fellas in the car, and it was not a big car.
It was not a big car. We had a little car and big guys, and it was a lot. But I will say this, and this is a huge step out. I said it there. I'm going to say it again. That place that you took us to may be the best dinner I have ever eaten in my entire life.
Plug for Steak 44. If you're ever in Phoenix, Scottsdale area, it's the best steak I've ever had.
Is that inside a hotel?
No.
Standalone.
No.
It's a place that on a Tuesday night, the valet parking's got all the McLarens and Lamborghinis outside. Yeah.
I stayed at a hotel in Phoenix that had a steakhouse in it that was supposed to be like top notch.
Okay.
So anyway.
So
KFC question though. Let's talk about KFC.
Yeah, we need to talk about KFC.
Tell us about KFC. You know, I saw a TikTok video. You may know this, that the person that was really the catalyst to KFC taking off was not Colonel Sanders.
That's right.
It was the guy from Wendy's.
Mm.
Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas was his right-hand man, apparently.
That I didn't know, actually. I do know that the first KFC in the world was here in Salt Lake City.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a guy named Pete Harmon met Colonel Sanders at a trade show and invited him out to a little place called the Dewdrop Inn, which was in Salt Lake. They had like the bellhops, with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
roller skates, that kind of a place. Anyway, he brought him out there. They had a waitress. They had a pressure cooker. They made up a batch of chicken, and the next day he had a sign painted that said that to put on the roof that said Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's the name stuck, and that was
Wow.
kind of that. Yeah.
I'll be
The
damned.
story that I saw was that Dave Thomas was his like operations guy.
Okay.
Dave from Wendy's, and he you just can't do me. He thank you. He Dave stuck around till they blew up. They got to like, I don't know, 400 or 500 stores, and Dave back then drive-throughs only had one window, and Dave had sort of drawn out this idea. He created the drive-through with two windows.
That
And-
sounds about
and-
right.
And would basically did the math and said we can serve triple the amount of customers in an hour with two windows versus one. And Colonel Sanders or somebody in Colonel Sanders' camp didn't want to go back and retrofit all the restaurants, so he quit and started Wendy's because he wanted to. He had this itch where he had to prove that the two, and now every fast food restaurant has two, sometimes three windows.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating.
So
Re-
Ben, as it relates to your time owning and managing a Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise, what do you feel like was the thing that you learned that you've taken with you to the insurance industry that you're like, you know what? When I look back on my time working so hard, because I know as a franchise owner, I've heard stories. I've heard in the book, you talk about having to work so hard in that franchise. What were some of the lessons learned that you're like, even today, you're like, that's where I learned that.
Well, I think maybe the one thing that's carried over the most from my restaurant days and kind of in between, I managed movie theaters around the country, but
Mhm.
from the restaurants and the theaters was the hours that you had to put in. Like I worked 126-hour week one week to open a new restaurant. And I was sleeping there at the restaurant. I'd go to sleep for a few hours and wake and go back. So I think once you start putting in regular hours like that, where your work weeks are above 80, like I'm never off now. We just got back from Mexico, and I did try to keep the laptop in check
Sure.
there, but I'm just never off.
Yeah,
is-
but
is
but
basically.
is that because you are a micromanager and nobody can do it better than you can?
No, I think my brain just doesn't shut off, and I just
Okay.
want to be. I just want to be plugged in. No, I don't have any problems delegating and that kind of thing. I just I those week, even though I'm working, I'm here at the office probably 60 hours, maybe not quite, but even if I wasn't here, I'd still be
Thinking about it.
thinking about it. So my wife said, "Hey, if you're going to be thinking about it, why
Right,
don't you
just
come home
go.
when dinner's done instead of coming home and then answering emails?"
Sure.
No, she's very acceptable. My weeks just feel short now compared to what they used to be, even though I'm still working a lot. But I
So-
think that's the one thing that's carried over.
So let's move over to because you
Yeah.
kind of leave the franchise stuff behind, and then you go to
Yeah.
start managing and working in movie theaters. What was your takeaway from working in these movie theaters?
Yeah, dealing with youth is really interesting, and the way I kind of made that transition from chicken to popcorn was, I went back to college, is what it was. I was a high school dropout, and going even further back, and that's kind of its own story. But then anyway, I got into the restaurant business early on, and kind of burned out on various things, and went back to school. And one of the things I love is movies. And seriously, I thought, well, if I'm not going to have a budget for movies, I'm going to work in a theater and I'm going to have free
That's
popcorn and
awesome.
free movies. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how that kind of went. And quickly within, a year or two, I got my degree, decided that I was going to go into management at the theater and started managing theaters across the country.
I have a
But
question. When a new
yeah,
movie comes out that's wildly like people want to see it,
yeah,
do the movie theater employees screen it first?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back in the day, you had to splice the films together,
Right.
and so you had to watch them, make sure a reel wasn't backwards or a splice
Oh, I
wasn't
got
missed
you.
or something. So it was your job. You were clocked in watching movies, and we'd
Gotcha.
watch movies till 4 a.m.
That's freaking
Back to
awesome.
back to back. Yeah, and then it got to be like the big blockbusters. They came in canisters. They had padlocks on them, and they wouldn't give you the code to the padlock until like the day before.
Oh.
So you couldn't like watch them way early because we'd get them a week early sometimes, but they'd padlock them so you couldn't open them. Now they're digital. So they download, they used to send them on hard drives. Now they just download over the air.
Yeah.
And they just won't unlock the digital key until they're ready to let you watch it. But really, that nowadays, so I still have friends that manage theaters in that business. So I know nowadays they just spot check the download, make sure it wasn't
Yeah.
corrupted.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, they can watch them for fun, and I generally watch them, because I love movies so much.
Yeah.
There was one, you seen Dodgeball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so Dodgeball has a scene after the credits that's just hysterical, and this was back in the days when it was 35 millimeter film, and it was on reels that are pancake platters, just giant reels, and you couldn't back it up. So now you can rewind and watch something again. But anyway, that scene comes on at the end of Dodgeball. And we were just sitting in the theater talking. We didn't even know there was an end scene, and it was so hysterical. We just had to thread it up and watch it again. So we just sat through the 2 hour movie to watch this scene at the
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
at the end, and that was just like a fun time.
So let's get in my DeLorean for a second.
Yeah,
We get into the chicken business, we get into the movie business. At some point, we end up getting into the insurance business.
yeah,
Talk to us about how you got in it, and then just kind of bring us up to today.
yeah. So the way I put it in the book that you read is I kind of got burned out of smelling like chicken and grease traps.
Yep.
Smelling like popcorn, and I had a sister who was and still is a AAA insurance agent for AAA, and she said, "Hey Ben, if you're getting burned out at the theater," she goes, "Why don't you try your hand at selling? We've got an opening in our Draper office at AAA, not her office, but another office." Yeah, I said, yeah, hey, I'll try it. The theater chain, I didn't own the theater chain, obviously, but I had owned my restaurants before that, and so I was a little tired of the bureaucracy of the theaters. There was a lot of bureaucracy involved. They micromanage the crap out of their general managers. But anyway,
Mm.
my sister said, "Why don't you come sell some insurance? Give it a shot." I had nothing to lose at the time, and so I said, "Yeah, I'll come and try selling." Turns out I loved it. Um, I think it's the protecting people that I really connected with.
Mm.
Back when I went to college, my goal was to be, law enforcement or in the law, like a prosecutor or something like that. I have a strong sense of justice. I feel like, but in insurance, I feel like I could do that, protecting and helping people, just not carrying a gun, doing it or
Mm.
whatever. So. Yeah, got into insurance at AAA. Met another agent there that had been a business owner herself, and she kind of tripped into insurance kind of the same way I did. And we got to talking, and both having that kind of entrepreneurial bug, decided that being a captive at a company like AAA was not the the place we wanted to stay. So I was there maybe a hair over a year,
Mm.
and we started custom insurance. That was back in 2011. So custom insurance, we started from scratch, and we were literally, like you said, writing everything and anything that walked through the door. We were knocking doors. I remember we'd go to car shows or car sales, and try and sell insurance to people buying cars on Labor Day and Memorial Day weekend and stuff. And
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. Her husband was a general manager at a Lexus dealership, and so he kind of had an in with one of the big chains here. So they'd have the big tent sale, and we were proud at the time to be the only insurance agency allowed in the tent. So
Right.
we had a booth next to all the dealer booths, right? And so they'd bring every deal over. One of we did that for several years, and one of the things that kind of struck me was how non-sticky that business is. And it was churn and burn big time. You were writing a lot of monoline auto. It
Hmm.
was,
I feel like we all
but
have something that we did when we started our
yeah,
agency that we're like, man, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
Well, it was really exhausting. And at the time we were really proud of that. We had no other agencies in this. We're not even allowed to be in this tent.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, well, looking back, I'm glad I kind of did it and had the experience. But um, flash forward to the pandemic, 2020, she was getting, she was 20 years older than me, and she was getting ready to retire anyway. And she thought, okay, we got an election coming up. Don't know which way that's going to go. Whether if I cash out now or cash out then, the tax structure might be different. So she said, she goes, I'm ready to sell. And I was ready to buy. So I bought her half of the business out. And it was shortly after that, I kind of thought back to those early days where we were struggling to write anything. And I had the kind of the luxury to sit back and think, what do I really want to focus on? You
Mm.
know? And as I write in the book, I don't like writing commercial insurance. There's just
Right.
something, it's never clicked with me. But when I was looking for a niche, and I think it was at a conference, it might have been one of Stromso's conferences or IAOA, I can't remember. Which, by the way, is another thing I never did in the years where before I bought her out. I never attended one conference, wasn't in any Facebook groups, didn't know that you could be anything other than an adversary to other agents. I
Right.
didn't know. Yeah, I mean we were all us against them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So as soon as I bought her out, I thought, well, I'm not going to have a sounding board anymore. She's retired, and I'm going to reach out to the community. And so I started kind of, networking and that kind of thing, and realized that I needed a niche. And so I was kind of gearing towards into the commercial, finding a commercial niche, because some of our largest and best accounts were big commercial accounts
Mm.
that even though I didn't like writing them, we did write them. Um, and when you can replace, 20 other clients with one big client, that feels pretty good. And that's
Yep.
what you want to spend all your time on. And as much as I was dreading getting into commercial, one day, Pure, the rep for Pure Insurance walked into my lobby. She said, "Hey, we're with Pure." And she had the underwriter with her. She said, "We love the area that you're in. Have you heard of us? Would you like to write with us?"
Oh, damn.
And if you know anything about Pure, that's a pretty crazy thing
Yeah.
for them to just come in and offer you
Hmm.
an appointment. I said, "Well, leave me your card. I don't know who you are. I'll look you up."
Yeah. I remember you telling me on our way to
Yeah,
dinner one night, you're like, at the time when she walked in the door and introduced herself,
yeah.
you didn't even know who Pure was. That was
Never
not
heard of
even
them.
on your radar.
Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Now mind you, we had high net worth clients. They were
Right.
just ones that were referred to us through other avenues. We never had niched like that.
Sure.
So she walks in, and so I of course went on to Facebook and I said, "Hey agents, tell me what you know about Pure, good, bad, ugly, whatever." And comment after comment, people were saying, "You'd be insane not to take that.
Hmm.
You'd
Do
be
you remember
insane."
our Pure Insurance rep story?
No.
You don't remember?
No. I know they turned me down for an appointment about 6 months ago. I know that.
I bet I know why. You don't
What
remember
did?
this?
No.
So we podcasted one day, right? And the Thai place down the road here we love. So we go to the Thai place, and I think Kenneth went with us.
Mm.
Scott's over there holding court, and you're talking bad about every damn carrier under the sun. Both of us were. You don't remember this?
Mm-mm.
And we get up and we turn around, and sitting in the booth directly behind us is a rep for Pure.
Oh no.
You don't remember that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
recollection of that.
It was about a year ago. Yeah.
Well, no
Oh
wonder I
man.
didn't get. Well, Ben, now we know.
I doubt
Now
it.
you know.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt it's the same rep. It
Well,
was hilarious though. I'm like, oh god, because I knew like he was talking. Both of us were talking loud enough that people in there could, but nobody in here knows who we're talking about. Turn around, carrier rep sitting 3 feet behind us.
So there's only about 4 or 5 carriers that are known to write high
Yeah.
value stuff, right? They're one of them. But anyway,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt your story. Go ahead.
No, so obviously I took the appointment. I started really digging in because I love writing personal lines, and that was kind of the best of both worlds for me. High premiums and personal lines. So even then I wasn't ready to completely just like put it all in on private client, but I did start marketing, and I don't like, email lists, cold calling, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of opted into direct mail and not postcards that you send and the crap that says, from Allstate that has
Your
this is
rate's
what your home insurance could
$300.
look
Yeah.
like. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. So I decided I'd spend some money on it. We put a nice folder out, a metal business card. We had like a handwritten like letter from me in there about how I wanted to invite them to have a conversation. And I remember the first batch that we sent out, I sent, I think, 100 of these mailers. And I thought, well, we'll just see what happens. And it took about 60 days, I'd say. And then I got a call off of that first mailer after 60 days. And it ended up being an account that was a $50,000 account. And so it more than paid. And I still have that guy today. Uh, Anyway, it more than paid for it. So I said, okay, I guess this is not really proof of concept, but it was a good indication. So I continued to expand on my marketing list and finding areas that I wanted to write in, places that didn't have trees overhanging their roofs, places that didn't have like the construction old enough that or wildfire prone enough that I was going to have underwriting problems. So I kind of really hand selected thousands and thousands of homes.
How are you finding the people you're sending this to? Because
Well,
it's hard to pick a neighborhood, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, secret sauce here. Anybody can do it. I just don't think a lot of people will do it because it takes. So I'm happy to share. But I would pull up county records and Zillow side by side, and I would find on Zillow neighborhoods where there were concentrations of, homes that were, 2 and 3 million and higher. And
Right.
now I don't market anything 5 million and lower. So I mean, if it's five or higher, and then I'll market to it now. But um,
see, if
quite
Scott and I
honest.
marketed 5 and higher, we'd have like 2 customers.
I was going to say we'd have
Alabama.
eight houses in
Yeah.
Alabama that are.
You know what's really interesting, and this we can kind of dive into this too a little bit later. What I started to find was these people that were calling and we were helping. They truly were clients that needed to be with Pure and Chubb and Cincinnati and Berkeley and Selective. They were those types of clients, and yet they were with Allstate and Farmers and Geico. I just wrote a guy now. His net worth's about $100 million. I wrote him last week. He's with Geico or was with Geico, 5,100 limits,
You damn
no
right he was.
no
Yep.
umbrella, no
Right.
umbrella. His house he's buying is a $25 million house,
Right.
and it's his first home. He's been renting until now. But
How hard is it for you to just tamp down the urge to say, are you out of your damn mind? Because
well, I
I
don't
would be
tamp it
like,
down.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, I don't. I
okay,
used to. It's you ever meet a celebrity and you like, oh man, what do I say? A little starstruck. Like
right.
when we started the podcast about 40 minutes ago, I was like, oh, what do I say to these big two celebrities on the couch over there?
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Just kidding. No. So really, it was kind of like that at the beginning when I was talking to somebody that I knew was really affluent, had a lot of money or whatever. I'm like, oh,
Right,
shit. How do I interact with this person?
right,
But the more I dug in, and this is kind of one of the reasons for writing the book, is I found that these guys are regular people. They've just been really disciplined and really successful, mostly. Um, and they have all the same problems. Every problem you have with one of your regular personal lines clients, these guys have
right.
wrong limits, bad advice. They've been trained to be price shoppers. It's all the
Mm-hmm.
same stuff.
What I've told some of my producers before too, I had a producer one time that was working on $1 million account and just got like deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Ended up closing it with a lot of help, but I told the Hoosier story, the story from Hoosiers. Like they go into the big arena
Oh,
and he measures
measure the goal.
and
Yeah.
it's the same distance. So it's like, like, look, it's like what you're dealing with, like it's the same stuff. It's just more zeros. That's the only
Yeah.
difference. And in a lot of ways, a lot of these guys and gals, there's probably more low hanging fruit because people are scared to have that conversation with them.
Oh yeah. You know, the thing I hear over and over when I talk to these people now, some of them are with, Marsh, or they're already with the Pure, with his
Right.
whatever. But most of them are not. Most of them are with the State Farms, or they're with whomever they're with, and they're with their agent because that's the agent dad was with. And I've
Mhm.
had this guy since college, and him and his staff are so nice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They answer their phone and they're so nice. And
There's the bar.
yeah,
Right.
that's the bar. They're telling you, you just need to be nice and answer your phone, and they'll do business with you, right? And they'll never leave you. Actually, I mean, we all know that's not entirely accurate, but these guys, these affluent clients, tend to rely on their attorneys and their wealth managers and their, estate planners and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and then they call Geico for their
Yeah.
insurance, and it makes no sense. Um, So let's see. I guess back to the old bio for a second, then we can kind of move on. But once we got Pure in the door, and I started building out a book with high net worth clients,
Mm-hmm.
damnedest thing, Cincinnati went on to Pure's website and said, "Who's appointed in this area? We want to offer him appointment." So that we got Cincy that way. Same exact thing. So Lightning twice. Then Berkeley followed, and Selective followed, and Chubb. So anyway, we kind of have the all the carriers we need now to service that niche really, really well. And at the beginning of this year, I told my team, we are all in. We are not writing anything that's not 3 lines, 250, 500. Home's got to be 2 million. If it doesn't meet, I mean, those bars are for us is relatively low now. And the team was all on board. They're going
So
for it. So I pulled in an agent from another town that I'd kind of known. I said, "Hey, let me take you to lunch." So I took him to lunch, and I said, "Can you handle it if we refer everything that doesn't meet these 3 criteria to you? Will
Mm.
you treat these guys well?" So I don't want a referral fee. I don't want anything like that. I just want to know that when my client refers somebody that doesn't meet my box, I'm not lowering my floor to write that
Right.
referral. I'm giving them a really good warm handoff to someone else that I know is going to take care of them, uh, which I think is the only way to go. And man, we've never been growing faster than we are now, writing fewer clients. I see my client count shrink every month and my premium like leap
Grow.
every
Yeah.
month. Because yeah, we're losing the clients, and we've tiered our book, by
so
the
are
way.
you
So we
moving
have
them to that guy when they renew too, if they're below the
no, no,
threshold?
we still have enough people. We're servicing them. The ones we have on the books, we're
Mm-hmm.
servicing well. They're doing the reshops when it's appropriate, and they're taking care of them. But we're not, on our hands and knees begging them to stay
Sure.
if they
Yeah.
want to go. So
Kind of
there,
grandfathered in
I
type
think you
thing.
need to
yeah.
get, I think you need to get the referral fee, dude. Like,
I
why not?
Yeah, I know. I really I've thought about things like that, and I have other agents that have said, "Well, why don't you just hire somebody to write that stuff?" And that's kind of, you have like a
Yeah.
little department. I'm like, "Well, then I'm not really out of that business. I can't really
Right.
focus just on high net worth, you know."
So I have a
I
client that's a landscaper.
Yeah.
And obviously landscape is a little different than insurance because, you know, he has to have enough people to service the clients that he has.
Yeah.
We could probably get by, right? Like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
if you doubled your client count overnight, like you'd be more busy, but a landscaper doubles their clients overnight, like no work's going to get done.
Sure.
Anyway, what he does is he's constantly going up on his prices. So like he charges $300 to cut my yard. I've been a client for a few years. Somebody else with a yard of my size, it may be 600, right? So what he
Yeah.
does is every time he picks up a new client that is, that is at a higher price, he finds the cheapest paying client with the same size yard, refers them over to a buddy, and says, "Give me 40% of your revenue. Here's a client." So he's like keeping the same amount of work, but increase it, but then he still doesn't lose the revenue over here. The guy he's giving it to is like usually like a startup, right? Kid with a lawnmower. They're like super thrilled and it works really, really well. So I think you need to expand on, like, try to maybe figure out, is there a way that you could not lower your standards, but also like not lose the potential revenue from that business? You know what I mean?
What I'm
Not saying what
hearing,
you're doing is wrong. I just love talking about this
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
What I'm hearing is you want me to refer him to you, and you're going to pay me a hefty sum.
That's not what I meant at
Is that
all.
what you
Hey,
mean?
That's not what
hey
I meant
Ben,
at
I've
all.
got a question for you, and then I'll let
Yeah.
you continue with the story. What is your pitch relative to, you've got, somebody that does meet your criteria, your floor, and let's say they have been with mom and dad's State Farm agency for 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is. What's your pitch, to get them into your agency?
Yeah. Um, I have to try to be really careful not to say what I feel on to them, because I feel like saying your agent's out of their depth and their companies, their products don't fit you anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we need to have this conversation. What I do in practice though is I just have the initial conversations with them, and I think they're feeling they can feel the difference right away when we're talking to them, because
Mm-hmm.
like I had an hour and a half long conversation with the guy that was referred over to us by his wealth manager. And by the end of that hour and a half conversation, I knew where he liked to travel. I knew what his hobbies were. I knew his kids and grandkids' names. I knew his background. I knew about his business. I knew about his net worth. I did not know his address. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
his dates of birth or driver's license numbers or any of that.
Sure.
All that crap he can send me in an
Yeah.
email or later. But we spent an hour and a half talking about where we like to golf,
Right.
right? And I think at the end of that, he goes, "Who the hell is this State Farm guy?" Like that's I call him to ask him a question, and they're just like reading me the list of
Mm-hmm.
same boilerplate questions. I think so. There's that, but really, when I just start talking about some of the features that a Pure has,
Right.
what is it important to you that if you're living in Park City, Utah, and Park City burns down, do you want to be the guy that has to rebuild his house on the charred mountain, or
Right.
do you want to be the guy that can cash out and maybe
Yeah.
buy or build somewhere else, because your
Right.
State Farm policy is not letting you do that.
Right. Right. Right.
And if we find out what's important to them, we really just start speaking their language and saying, okay, well, let's really address that need. And not like, hey, do I have the product for you? But it's really like, okay, let's find out what your pain points are, and
Mm-hmm.
let's start talking to those. We don't talk cost. This guy that I just was telling you about, I sold over the weekend. He's ended up paying for his insurance. He's about $13,000 more dollars a year for his auto, a renter's in California, and an umbrella than he was paying Geico. And
Well,
he asked me if there's any way to tighten it up, because he was 13 grand's a lot. And I
yeah.
said, well, not really. We've got this is why we have the coverage built the way we
Mm-hmm.
have, because you said these things were important to you. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "Okay, write it up."
If you and if we're gonna get real for just a second, I'll tell you
Yeah.
this: I would bet you money that if you gave Truth Serum to the C-suite execs at State Farm in Atlanta, and then waterboarded them, they would admit that that is really not what their product is designed for. You see what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't think the executives at State Farm would be like, "Oh yeah, we love people that live in a $25 million house." I
No.
just don't think that's kind of their box. But yeah, no, I understand exactly, and I didn't mean to interrupt your story. I
Yeah.
just wanted
No.
to throw
No.
that
I
out
think
there.
it's all great. We can flow however. That's pretty much it. I think the more I've niched into that, the more I've realized that no matter what your focus is, you really have to commit
Yeah.
to your niche. So
So
with me, go ahead.
no, I was going to say so when does the
Yeah,
idea of the book come into play? I know it's
yeah,
at some point you wake up after eating a bad piece of pizza and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book.
Yeah. So the book was actually written to serve a few different functions for me. I mean, it goes without saying that it's a credibility establisher and a
Sure, sure.
business card, right? Um,
Right.
but more important for me, I wanted to train my clients and potential clients how to view risk management
Mm-hmm.
and how I operate and how I want them to think. So we're not talking price and hey, you should reshop every year because your rate went up. We're not talking about that. We're talking about um, uh, what I call the four pillars. So you've probably heard it
Yes,
before.
sir.
I mean, I didn't make them up, but at the same time, my clients, when I talk to them, had never heard of them. You feel like this is stuff that's been around forever. You know, risk reduction, risk retention, risk avoidance, risk transfer. Right? They're basic. In fact,
Mm.
depending on who you ask, there's a fifth one, risk identification. Right? So, but anyway, I thought let's teach my clients that when I'm telling them on our conversations, they need a water shut off device in their house and they need the alarm system and they need to have higher deductibles. You know, when I tell a client you need to have a $25,000 deductible on your home, or maybe you can keep a $100,000 deductible on that home. Um, those are all risk management tools, right?
Correct.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to write the book to explain why we're doing those four things. And so they can start to identify if they've read it. Oh, okay, Ben's talking about this higher deductible. He's talking about
Mm.
risk retention. I get it. Like I
Right.
see the philosophy. And if clients don't um, jive with that, then that's fine. There's a lot of agents out there.
Right.
They don't need to be with custom insurance.
Sure. It
They can
might not be a good fit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the clients I'm going to struggle with the most because we just
Mm-hmm.
don't have an ideological connect there. We just
Right.
they look at it from price or whatever their lens is that they're viewing it, and not my lens. I just want to deal with clients that we have a similar lens, you know. And so,
Absolutely.
and it was a long time where I was trying to find a resource like the book Fortified, and I couldn't find one
Mm-hmm.
to refer people to. And so I thought, well, damn it, I better just write it. And the actual boot in the ass, if you will, for writing it was I was at a Mike Stromso event, and
Yep.
I know he's listening to this and getting a little smile on his face right
No,
now.
he's getting teary eyed. Teary
He's
eyed.
got
Yeah.
he's got the dew in his eyes.
That's right.
Yeah. But he had just written a book on vet insurance because he had
Yep.
niched same, it's a different niche, but it's still a niche. So he wrote a book on the niche, and I thought, well, man, that's exactly what I need to do. Had all this same questions from people, same pain points, all that. I need to just put it in a book, and so it was an idea that took about 3 years to get moving on
Mm.
and about 6 months to actually write and get done.
You know what's so funny about the discussion we're having right now? Number one, Bill, if you are listening to this, I'll say this about Bill Butler that most people don't know about him. He is one of, in my opinion, the top 5 speakers in our industry when he has an opportunity to to get up in front of an audience and give his testimonial. It's very impactful. A lot of people, when he gets up and talks, man, everybody stops what they're doing and listens. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys. But
Yeah.
Bill is one person. I know David Carruthers is another.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard Mike Stromso say this, but I'm going to assume that Bill kind of took this from Mike because he was in his UPP program for so many years. But you hear a lot of people in our industry talk about writing a book or something to kind of be your calling card, and it sounds like you just followed his advice
Yeah.
and followed his footsteps, so to speak.
Well, it opens doors and it adds a legitimacy of social proof
Yep,
that you might otherwise not have.
that's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
especially if you can make it look well done and not self-published. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think, especially to now, I don't want to go ahead and stereotype, but I would imagine a lot of the folks you're talking to are of an older generation.
I
And
wouldn't. No, I don't think so.
okay, well, I
Yeah.
apologize for stereotyping, but to older folks, like
Mhm. If you
this,
wrote a book, that's a big
yeah,
deal.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
And younger folks too. Don't get me wrong. You know.
Yeah.
So Ben, I had another question for you, and
Yeah.
this is one you probably it's coming out of left field on you. What is your five-year plan? I don't like 10-year plans because I probably won't be here in 10 years, but 5-year plan. What is your 5-year plan in terms of your agency? Is it continue to grow and use the strategies that are working for you to, just continue to build your annualized premium through high net worth people?
Yeah, so I think establishing custom insurance as like a nationwide um, like leader in high net worth
Sure.
insurance, I think is definitely on the goal. As far as premium goes, I'd like to in 5 years, I think I'd like to be quadruple where we're at now.
Okay.
I think that's doable. Um, just like everybody, we're getting approached every day by M&A people, and I don't even let them get to any kind of figures at all. I just tell them I don't work well under others. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
said I'd make the worst employee you'd ever have.
Bro, you have to knock them off with a stick sometimes.
I'll tell you
I,
what
I
you
know.
better not do. You better not go to lunch with one of them, or you'll be selling your insurance agency.
That's true.
Yeah. I usually give them like 1 or 2 minutes to chat with me, and I just tell them, call me in 20 years. I'm still building something here. And
Yeah.
honestly, is there a number? I think everybody's got a number.
Sure.
But you know what I would do if I ever somebody met that number and I ended up selling the agency, I'd start another one, and
Yeah.
I would do it again.
That's
I,
the thing is like because I've had these conversations too. It's like if there's nothing else you would rather do than this, why not just do this?
Just
Right.
do this,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
They're like, well, you could still do this just with our resources. And I'm like, and your oversight. I don't need
Yeah.
that.
Correct.
Like, yeah, I don't need that at all. I truly mean this when I say I would make the worst employee ever.
Well, and not to mention the fact, let's just be honest. These three guys sitting here talking on this podcast right now. Could we do something else? Could I do something else? Yeah, I could do a lot of things. I don't know that I have the intelligence, and I certainly don't have the life expectancy to get out of insurance and go back to law school or become a doctor and go train for 8 years.
Yeah.
Do I want to be a real estate agent and be showing Mr. and Miss Johnson houses on Saturday afternoon at 3:00? Hell no.
All right, I'm going to read this. Scott doesn't know I'm going to read this. Okay. So Scott uses a device called Plod, which is a great device to summarize meetings and phone calls and things like that. It's similar to like Otter AI, but it's a physical device.
Yeah.
So Scott sends me the notes, the AI notes from a phone call that he had. You okay if I read this?
Sure, I don't care.
And this is from somebody trying to buy Scott's agency, Ben.
All right, let's hear it.
Blank Network was met with a clear and non-negotiable rejection. The agency owner, Scott Howell, is not only uninterested in selling, but has long-term vision to be the last independent agent in America. He has preemptively established a theoretical selection process, in quotes, for an eventual sale far into the future. Involving a mud wrestling competition at his home
That's what I told you.
between major industry players. This response serves as both a firm rejection of the current offer and a public declaration of his commitment to independence, a stance he has already broadcast on his podcast. The call ended with the acquirer acknowledging this.
So
That's how Scott feels.
So hey,
I love it.
I already told Chris Paradiso he's got to sell me the rights to the last agent standing because he sold his agency.
Yeah, there you
So,
go.
and I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So listen, I get it from both sides. I get these agents wanting to take some chips off the table, and
you don't want to be too stiff-armed to the
100%.
because if you piss every one of them off, then by the time you're ready to sell, nobody wants to talk to you.
which is where I'm headed.
Yeah. So
Apparently, based on my conversations and what you just read, it's hard to piss them off because I've said a
probably
lot of
so. They get met with. I mean, to do that job as someone who does M&A, you have to be willing to deal with rejection. And then also you know, so many of those deals fall apart at the finish line too.
Right.
So their cookies are never in that basket, you know? The ones that piss me off are the like third party firms that are acting like they're with Acrisure,
Yeah.
and you can just
Sure.
see right through it. It's a third party, or the ones that you can tell they did no research whatsoever, and this was just a mass sent out deal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm like, and I know that's not the case for everybody, but like, you could research me for 5 minutes and find out what's important to me. You know what I mean? In terms of like my business and that sort of thing.
I'll tell you what, man, from the little bit that I know about Ben and the time I've spent with him, and Ben, I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit. I mean, I know we hadn't spent a lot of time together, but you're a little bit like me in that, and Bradley Bradley might be more so than you and I. It is going to be very difficult when that day comes to have a boss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because they're, you know, we all are building businesses. You build a business to sell it. That's why you build it. One day we are going to sell, and it is going to be Bradley Flowers is going to be calling me every other day, going, "You're not going to believe what these sons of bitches did now."
Yeah. So the hope is that you've made so much money that you don't care.
Right.
What
Yeah.
I have told when I've had this conversation, not about selling, but just with people in general on this topic, other agency owners.
Yeah.
I don't mind having a boss. Right? Like right now, I have 3 bosses right now. God, my wife, and the Department of Insurance. Right?
All right.
I don't mind having a boss. I don't want to feel like I have a boss.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that's what my manager actually at Alpha, the captive company, he did a pretty good job of. I never felt like I had a boss.
Right.
If you make me feel like I have a boss, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I'm done. It's not, you know. And so I think that's for like if I were to sell right now, which I'm nowhere near doing that, that would be like the number one thing I look for next to money is like the right kind of manager situation and a private jet. So,
Well, I know. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know you get a worse valuation if you sell and walk versus sell and stay, but like my inclination would be if I ever do sell is to sell and walk. Actually, an ESOP is really appealing to me. The employee stock option program.
now I'll tell you what you could do that might combat that. Now I'm not totally sure on this. If you sell and walk, yes, you're going to get less. But if you can build your business to where you could disappear for a month and nothing misses a beat, I think you could make up some of that gap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if I'm you and I know I'm going to want to walk, I'm spending the 18 months before I'm ready, like maybe even leaving for a couple months just to see what breaks. You know what I mean? And spending it. And that's what I think like makes Portal so valuable is that's what I've done here. Like I was gone for a month when the baby was born and I got involved in a few things, but generally speaking, the business, June was our best month we've ever had financially as an agency. I wasn't here.
You just need to get the hell out of there.
I just need to get out.
That's right.
But what it does when you do that, and I did it intentionally because of this reason, when you do build it so that you don't have to be here and you want to be here, you can focus on, okay, how do we like leap forward? You know what I mean? How do we like, what are some little small things we can do that buy us a ton of leverage?
Yeah, and I was gone for a month in January, and buddy, we really had to do some changes then.
That's because you were on life support.
Right. But, you know, still gone.
Yeah.
However you want to put
Everybody was in mourning.
Yeah.
They had already bought the black ribbons to put on the
Bradley's
black
up in
bow.
Huntsville making funeral arrangements for me.
They had already Scott's team had already bought the black bows to hang on the door.
Yeah.
He lived. And they're like, what? Damn it, he lived.
They like slide the box back under the desk so I don't see it.
Did that ever cross your mind that maybe there was an employee that was like, oh shit?
I think Clint was there. I think he was
Oh, he thought you were going to die?
I think he did.
Oh, no, he did. He called me.
Well, the other day, that proves that.
Yeah, he
Al.
called me because every message I was getting from Kim was like, he's doing, whatever. And Clint went
He's
and
gonna
saw,
be okay.
Clint went and saw you. I was at a Mexican restaurant in Chattanooga, and he was like, I know you're on a family vacation, but if you can come here, I probably would.
Damn.
And I think that day was your worst day. And
It was.
then after he left, you started on an upswing. And by the time I got there, I would have not known anything was wrong with you had you not been at the place you were.
Yeah.
So
Ben, thank you so much for being on this show today.
Thanks for having me.
I really, really appreciate you coming on. I've loved reading your book. I will tell you, in all honesty, I can read 3 or 4 pages in the morning when I get up, because then the rest of the day, gets crazy and I don't get to read. But there are some days where I'll really get into it and I'll read a whole chapter. I'd say I'm about halfway done with it, but I've really enjoyed reading that book.
Well, thank you.
It's been
And for
great.
anybody that's looking for it, its full name is Fortified: The Affluence Guide to Protecting Wealth, Lifestyle, and Legacy. You can get it on Amazon, or just message me. I'll send you a copy. I'm not trying to make money on the book. I actually just want to get it out there.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to ask you like where to go. I knew you could go to Amazon and buy it, but
Yeah.
per our conversation prior to getting on this podcast, writing books and having events are not anything that you're going to get rich off of.
100%.
You go, it's a labor of love. It's not a man. I'm going to write this book and be a millionaire.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No,
It needed to be a little more
those days
saucy if it was going to make some money. Maybe one day I'll have a love triangle book I write between an adjuster, a roofer, and
Wow.
an insurance agent. What do you think?
There you go.
I'm trying to think of the title right now. I'll have to give that a little moment of thought. If I was
Attractive nuisance.
something.
I would watch that Lifetime movie. I would
That's
totally
the
watch
name
it.
of my fictitious insurance themed rock band, Attractive Nuisance. So I actually did think about this. We were talking about One City. So at the second One City in Austin, we had insurance themed drinks, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
Like one of our drinks was the BOR. We had a Vertifor themed drink that was orange. If we ever do another one, I want to find a local band, but talk them into changing their name for that one night, and it be Attractive News, and it be like an insurance. Either that or get like Joe Jimenez and Jeff Roy, like these musically inclined insurance agents, to for one night only form a fake insurance band.
I love it.
Anyway,
Good to talk to you, brother. Hang in there.
Thanks for having me.
I will see you down the road at, I'm sure, some insurance conference in the near future. But please let's stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, guys, as I end every episode, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk today. Go out into the big bad world. Make money for your family, for your wife, for your husband, for your kids' college fund, and your parents and in-laws like mine that are struggling out there. Go make money for them. Write good business for the agencies that you represent, and write good business for the carriers that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I
thanks,
love you.
buddy. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Hey,
Ben.
thanks, guys. See ya.
Guys, you're listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each one of you. Thank you so much for listening to our show, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care.